David Shaw here with another off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., come visit my site, offtherecordtours.com. Let's go. The most unusual memorial to a president in Washington, D.C. is the one to our 26th president. Theodore Roosevelt gets an entire island to his memory. Located in the Potomac River between Georgetown and Roslyn, Virginia, Theodore Roosevelt Island is a fitting tribute to this president who ensured that so much of America's natural beauty was preserved for all time. The memorial is large, maybe too large for a pastoral setting. Roosevelt is depicted in one of his familiar poses, exhorting his audience on to greater things. But its place in front of this monolith in this large plaza does give it an unfortunate feel of a socialist realism piece. But its size and the way it dominates the space is keeping with Teddy's personality. Now, I am embarrassed to admit it, but although I've lived in Washington a long time, it's only recently that I learned about the fascinating history of this island. I always knew it for the giant statue and unusually sized plaza we just saw, but there's a lot more to Roosevelt Island than that. The Nacotchtank Indians lived at various places in what is now Washington, D.C. They were traders, farmers, and hunters, and probably lived around here for 500 years. Captain John Smith records being well received by them as they explored the area in 1608. But after contact with Europeans, they were decimated by disease, fighting, and having their territory taken by settlers. This island was their last refuge. From there, the island was claimed outright by English settlers, one of which was George Mason III, father of the George Mason of Constitutional Convention fame, who acquired it in 1724. The Masons built a large mansion on the island, and it stayed in that family until 1842. During the Civil War, the Army takes over the island and uses it to train the 1st U.S. Colored Infantry Regiment. Toward the end of the war, the island houses more than 1,200 former enslaved people under the authority of the Freedmen's Bureau. Something I don't want to see very often. You stay on your side of the trail and I'll just stay on mine. In 1931, the Theodore Roosevelt Memorial Association purchased the island, but it's not until 1967 that this memorial is dedicated. We're on the far end of the island now, and you have this great view across the river. That's Georgetown University with the dark steeples heading into the sky, and the rest of the Georgetown waterfront. That used to be a very active pier. There would be all kinds of sailing ships docked up over there, unloading and loading, mostly loading up tobacco to be exported, but also unloading enslaved people to be sold here in Washington. I also see lots of black raspberry plants along the trail here, and I think if you come back in July or August, you could probably snack your way through here if the birds don't get them first, but you'd also have to risk walking into that poison ivy. Now, aside from the snake, which was never going to hurt us, and the poison ivy, Roosevelt Island's very easy to visit, either on foot by crossing the Roosevelt Bridge, or on bike, and they have bike racks here. They also have the on-the-spot bike rental service in the parking lot also. So it's definitely, if you're here for a few days, want to get a little break from the city, delightful time here, just walking around Roosevelt Island. As usual, if you have a comment or a question, please leave it below. And don't forget to subscribe. Well, I hope you enjoyed that off-the-record story. If you want to learn more about Washington, D.C., things seen and unseen, arrange your tour of your nation's capital at offtherecordtours.com. Until then, I'm David Shaw.